This channel is for entertainment purposes only, not to be taken as legal advice. Welcome back, everybody. It's Thursday. It went by so quickly this week, and we're already here to the weekend, but it's great to see everybody as we have an exciting topic here that I really don't talk a lot about. And if you know me, I kind of shy away from the subject of it, but it's been brought up so many times now that I feel I have to touch up on it, which is all about the 1099 forms. The 1099 forms. I talked about it once or twice before, and I'm about to do a deep dive, or a little bit more of a deep dive, on the subject once again. So very important topic for today. I'm excited for you all joining me. I wanted to start off today's topic with something I was actually just discussing with the live group here a moment ago, which is a very personal subject of mine, and also a personal subject for a lot of other individuals, which is the topic of sovereignty, discharge, the 1099s, the negotiable instruments, the unlimited credits and all of that. And the discussion with family members. Isn't it such a difficult subject to broach with family members? I feel like it's the most difficult thing to bring up. If you're like me, I got a brother, I got a sister, and I got other family members in my family. I am so close to my siblings. We talk all of the time. And, you know, for the most part, we don't really talk about our businesses or work, because when we spend time with one another, we're just hanging out. I got plenty of years worth of jokes from my brother and sister. It would take days to go through them all. So that's what we primarily focus on. But the subject does come up about, Paul Michael, what are you doing? How are you doing it? Why are you teaching on the subject? What have you personally done? What have you personally done? You know, it's a very unique situation because, you know, it wasn't more than just a year ago, before I even became on YouTube, I was just like you. I was just researching the subject, and I was passionate about it. Really like Patrick Devine and what he was teaching it. I have a list of YouTube videos that I saved in my watch later history. And I had books. I still have a lot of books that are down there, and that I would read and stuff. And I was obsessed with the subject of sovereignty, capitalism, and this unlimited credit. And I would bring it up to my siblings. And, you know, if you're just like me, you want to help out those that are around you, and family is the first one that comes to mind, and which later turns into really anybody that will listen. I bring up the subject to my brother, and the subject matter goes kind of something like this. Hey, I learned this, or I'm doing this, or I had success here, or I'm about to have success, or this is an interesting topic. Like anything in life, whatever we're interested in, we do want to tell others. But especially if it's vital information that is life-changing, if someone just broached the subject to it and explained it in a clear format, it could really change not only our personal lives, but the lives of others. What's unique to me is that I no longer am just Paul Michael with my brother that is interested in a subject. He's just like Paul Michael's my brother, and he has a huge platform with tens of thousands of people that follow him, and he's, you know, I'm educating the best I can on the subject. And so before, what we used to touch upon, maybe he'll listen to a little bit more right now. But I'm here to tell you, even with the discussion about what I talk about, how I teach it, and how I broach the subject, an individual can only take in so much information. And a lot of the times, it's not that the information that you're giving is incorrect. It's just about what the person is going through at the time. And for the most people in America, especially these last 4 years with rising grocery prices, taxes through the roof, low employment, you know, a lot of new families that got started, it's difficult to just keep your head above water. It's difficult. And when you're feeding information to somebody who's keeping up their head above water barely, they can't take on anymore. So it's not that what we're passionate about or the information that we're giving is not valuable, but in my opinion, some people just can't take in that level of information, especially with the commitments that come with it. And the commitments that come with it that I learned when I came into the guru market, and was shopping around, was telling my brother, yeah, brother, all you need to do to be free is just read 500 books, watch 100 YouTube channels, and fill out a bunch of forms and send it to the IRS. He was like, yeah, and take care of 2 children, be the breadwinner, and try to figure out all the other stuff that he's got going on in life, like fixing up his house and all that. It's just too much information for him. And it's too much information for a lot of individuals. What I find most unique about this movement is it's not the individuals that are keeping their heads above water that fall into this movement. It's the people that have already drowned, that have nowhere else to go, that have already been treading water for so long, and now they're totally consumed by the waves around them, and they have no other option but to start thinking outside the box. It's like a mode of survival. It's a mode of survival. And in this mode of survival, I remember for myself, I just got this drive and this determination and this look in my eye that says, I'm going to figure it out. I don't care how many hours it's going to take. I don't care how many videos it's going to be. I don't know how many books I could read. I'm going to consume this information until I figure it out. And a lot of you, from the many consultations that I've had with all of you, have gone through the exact same thing. My situation is really not that unique. But eventually, you get a little burned out, not by the information, but by the direction, by the leadership of the individuals online. Why can't I get a straight answer? Just tell me A plus B equals C and let me move on with my life. Let me move on. So I'm here today to tell you how to move on with your life. If you're tired of studying, if you're tired of preaching to your family members and your best friends and your parents about this movement who keep on brushing you off and giving you the same cliche answer, I'll get into it once I see you get results first. Oh my God, dime a dozen. And you're just like, I just want to get to the end goal, just to either, whether it's to prove these people wrong or prove it to yourself. Let's go through the step-by-step today. And also talk about the 1099 forms as well. My name is Paul Michael. I'm the Dean of Creditor Academy. And it has been my mission to make this movement simple, to make it simple. And I cannot make it any more simple than what I have built here at Creditor Academy. If you go to our website, our entire academy is broken up into different years. It's freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior. It absolutely is the direct way to success. You go through my program. I'm telling you, you don't need anything else. And I can back it up too. I hope to back it up not by having overconfidence, but with reason. I want to reason with you, just kind of like the Apostle Paul did when he was in the going through Rome and Greece and kind of spreading the gospel. He didn't, try to force his people's relationship with God and Jesus. He reasoned with people to show them that this was the way. And I want to do the same with you. Freshman Sovereignty 101 is an important first start because it's all the basics. If you and your family, if you're trying to convince your family members about this subject and you just are word vomiting, like, oh, I don't even know what to say, Paul Michael. There's so much to say, but I don't even know how to explain the basics. That's what Freshman Sovereignty 101 is all about. You learn how the system sees you and how to break free. You get to understand what a legal fiction versus the living man is, and you begin your journey from subject to sovereign. It's everything that you need from there. Then, after you get the basics down, then we can start going into actionable steps. And that's where sophomore year comes in. This is where you actually become private. Paul Michael, I'm done with learning. I'm done with reading. I want action now. I want to start taking control of my life. This is where we go into the SPC, the Secure Party Creditor documentation, where we complete your status correction, and where we talk about how private IDs and badges involved into your new private status. But most importantly, we explain thoroughly how to exit the public system and operate under private authority. That's what it's all about. After you become private, then the next important thing is, now how do you operate in the private? How do you operate? You need to know how to utilize business trust, how to use private membership associations, how to use real estate trusts, how to do wholesale, and so much more. You need to learn how to put your life all around you inside of the private. And doesn't that just make sense? Doesn't it? If you become private and you can utilize negotiable instruments in your status, now how do you operate in that way? How do you intercede with in public and in commerce? Then finally, after you know how to operate and protect your assets in the private, open up bank accounts and all of that, now the only final thing that you need to know is, how do you get your banker at your local Chase and Wells Fargo and KeyBank and BECU and Umpqua, whatever your main bank is, to walk in through the door and have them open up the vault and say, go ahead, grab as much as you want. No question about it. And that is what your unlimited credit is. You do it through accessing high limit trade lines and credits. You leverage credit cards and rewards to build real capital. And you operate as your own creditor using trust-based structures. You learn how capitalists create money and how you do it yourself. This is simple. This is as straightforward as we can get to it. But you won't know how to get there unless you know the story about how we got here in the first place. Because most people believe they owe money to banks, credit card companies, or even the IRS. But what if that's not the full story? What if behind every loan, every transaction, and every monthly bill, there's already an account that prepaid it on your behalf? This sounds outrageous at first when you first come into the movement, but once you dig into the Federal Reserve System and contract law, you begin to see the cracks in the matrix. When the U.S. left the gold standard, it transitioned into a system based on credit. Every dollar in circulation today is really just liability backed by the promise of future payments. But here's the catch. When you borrow money from the bank, they don't lend you the cash. They create credit based on your signature. Your promissory note is monetized. That's what a promissory note is. It's your signature on the back of a blank check. And then what do? They loaned it back to you with interest, and you're the actual source of the value. This is called a double entry accounting. And it's the same system used by the banks to record loans. On one side is credited, the other is debited. But both sides exist because of you. So if your signature created the funds, then what exactly are you repaying? The illusion of debt really begins to fall apart when you realize that you funded your own loan and the bank merely acted as a middleman. And yet you're told to work for 30 years to pay back what was essentially created out of thin air. And then you're taxed on the money you earn. And then you're taxed again on what you spend. You're buried under credit card interest, student loans, car payments, all because a system designed to benefit the issuer of credits, not the creator of it, which is you. Oh, man, isn't that something? And you know what's amazing to me is if you go in more conservative circles, this is already a widely held known belief. I go to my brother, never been in this movement before, watches Fox News, OAN, like it's going out of style. Plus, he's got the other networks that he watches as well. Ben Shapiro and who's that other therapist guy? I forget. Peterson, yeah. And they all talk about the same thing. They're borrowing money and charging it against us, and that's doing interest. It's like the worst held, kept secret ever. Everybody knows it. Everybody knows it. But as soon as you broach the subject to the solution of this huge problem that's glaring you in the face on all the mainstream media networks, what do your friends and family say? Oh, well, that's illegal. Why would we do that? I was like, didn't you just call the system that we were just describing and watching on mainstream media illegal in itself and unfair? So why is it that we need to sit and stand by and accept it? Why is that? Why is that? These are simple questions. These are simple questions. But the answer is just, it's the same as I started. They're drowning. They're keeping their heads above water. They're trying to survive in the matrix. And you're coming in dressed as, you remember remember in the Matrix, the woman in red? Remember? And Neo's in there, and that woman in red walks by, and he was focused on Morpheus, and then all of a sudden that woman in red walks by, and he's like, whoa, man. And then as soon as he turns his head, a gun right in his face, right? Super wild. You're messing with the matrix. It'll eat you up. Sometimes in order to be private and operate in the private, you need to step away and not get too close to the maker. Says some people are not willing to unplug. But moving on, really, the real crux of this issue is on how it started. As I try to explain to people, is you need to, in order to get out of the system, you need to understand this straw man account. Because when you were born, a legal fiction was created in your name, known as the straw man. This isn't just a conspiracy theory. It's embedded in legal documents and financial instruments. The all caps version of your name represents a corporate entity tied to your social security number, which is used to track your obligations, your taxes, and your credit issuances. And then you have your family member like, that sounds crazy. And then you're like, excuse me, have you ever tried to do taxes or get lines of credit or track your obligations like your contracts with your mortgage without using a social security number? Well, no, but it's God, man. Simple. So it's not far-fetched. This entity is how the government interacts with us. Through it, licenses are issued, debts are assigned, and payments are demanded. However, there is a private side to you as well, the living man or woman who is the beneficial owner of this entity, not the liable party. Once you separate yourself from the straw man, you begin to understand how to operate from the position of creditor and not the debtor. And this is why sophomore year of Creditor Academy is so important. It's your action plan to separate your identity. The key for the Secure Party Creditor process lies in understanding trust relationships. Government and financial systems act as the trustees to manage your straw man, your estate, and while you unknowingly act as the surety, meaning the one who pays for it all. But if you declare and record your status properly through specific administration processes, affidavits, and UCC filings, you can reserve these roles. You become the grantor and beneficiary while they resume their rightful position as trustee. At the heart of really this system, this is, and you heard me say this before, it's the Sista KV trust account. And it's dated back since the 1600s, like 1666. That's what it is. It's another 666 reference, which presumes your estate is abandoned unless claimed. That's what it means. So that's how it gets there. But you don't need to apply for freedom. It's your default state. What you need is the proper process to remove the presumptions that you are the debtor. And once that happens, you're empowered to discharge obligations rather than fulfill them out of your pocket. And this is where we get into now the discussion of the 1099s that I was going to bring up to you guys today. Okay. All right. So there's a hidden power of these 1099 forms to unlock your financial freedom. I use them rarely. They're an important subject to breach. And I want to start off by saying that in the academy, I do not focus heavily on the 1099s. I mean, the 1099s are like the crack cocaine of this movement. Every time you go to somebody's friend or I hear someone talk about the truth, did you hear about the 1099s? God, you guys are addicted. And it's just one process. And does it work every single time? No, I can tell you from doing over 1,500 consultations, let me be your best friend. Out of all these 1,500 consultations, it works yay and nay. It's so hit and miss. And there's more misses than hits, I'm here to tell you. But I'm here to talk to you about it and give you what I believe is a better alternative, because I like guarantees. I love guarantees. If I'm going to come into this movement, I'm going to brag to my family members about it. I want to brag that it's not only going to work for me every time, but it's going to work for them every time. Doesn't that make sense? Doesn't that make sense? So I'm going to talk about it, and then I'm going to show you why I go the other way. But the IRS 1099 form series was never meant to be just for independent contractors. Let me start off with saying by that. Its purpose is information reporting. It's a record of transactions between two parties where the payments were made outside of a traditional employer-employee relationship. But what most people don't realize is that the 1099 is also used by banks, brokers, trustees, and governmental entities to report and transfer liabilities and income sources. Each type of 1099 serves a different purpose, and they all stem from the principle that the United States operates under a commercial and trust-based system. This is why I mentioned in the beginning this commercial trust-based system. When any asset or liability is created, whether it's a mortgage, a loan, or property abandoned, the IRS wants to know who received the benefit and who bore the liability. That's all they care about. This is where the forms like 1099A, 1099 OID, 1099B, 1099C all come into play. In commercial law and trust, when a benefit is created, such as like a promissory note, a loan agreement, or a security instrument, someone is the issuer. What's an issuer? It's a debtor. And someone is the holder or the lender. And who is the holder and the lender? The creditor. The 1099 form acknowledges that this transfer gives its recognition in public record. That's what makes it so powerful when used with this knowledge, because it forces agencies and corporations to recognize who's holding the liability and who's entitled to discharge the claim. So the IRS essentially is a clearinghouse for trust in commercial transactions. If you know how to operate in commerce, this is junior year of the academy, operate privately. But if you know how to operate in commerce as a creditor, trustee, or a beneficiary, you can use the 1099 process to document discharge, recover funds, and reposition liabilities. But first, you got to understand the functions and the distinctions of each form first. So let's start with the 1099-A. 1099-A is an acquisition or abandonment of secured property. It's the most probably misunderstood, but also a powerful form in the 1099 series, because it's used by banks and the government to report the acquisition or abandonment of property that was secured by a loan or a lien. This is why it's one of the more popular forms when trying to utilize for discharging the mortgage, which, if you watch my video last time, I have a much easier way for discharging your mortgage. It's the process I used, and it works every time. I love it. Much more simple. But anyways, what it does is it tracks who walked away from a property and who took control of it, but also has another use. A 1099-A can be used to report a transfer of liability back to an agency or an original creditor. So if you understand the relationship between the straw man and the living man, and that you are the secured party and the original lender of the credit, since your signature is what created the funds, then you can list yourself as the lender and the entity holding the obligation as the borrower, living man, straw man. So here's how it works in kind of practice. Okay, I'll get this. You fill out the 1099-A with your trust or your name as the lender. There's the lender section at the top. And the corporation, court, or mortgage company as the borrower. That's the second box at the bottom. The fair market value can match the outstanding balance. By doing this, you're declaring a commercial abandonment of the liability by you and the acquisition by the borrower. In short, you're pretty much handing it back to them. But this only works if you're proper legal and commercial status. This means you've already filed your UCC1. You've created your secured party creditor claim. You have an administrative record supporting your position. Without this, you'll never see the making. You're just going to see the making of a bunch of frivolous or incomplete claims, right? Because you can't create a lawful transaction recognized by the IRS if you don't have a master account at the IRS. And that's what the SPC is. The 1099 OID. Oh my God. Another thing that you guys are obsessed with. It's the original issue discount. And there is more mystery behind this form. Oh my God. It's just endless. Borrow from yourself. Man, shut up. Oh my God. It's a stupid book. Anyways, it's a powerful tool in some cases if you want to reclaim your withheld funds or value created via original securities. So if you have like a promissory note, basically, or if you have a trust instrument, or you have a contract that you signed under duress or deceit, which is what you're mostly signing, right? Every time you go get a license, sign for a mortgage, aren't you under duress and deceit? I don't want to sign this. UCC 1-308, all rights reserved without prejudice. But most people, they don't know this form can really be used to reclaim the value that was originally created using their signature. So in trust law, which is really what the SPC is all about. You're going to just hear trust law all the time. But the idea is that the OID form is used when a bond or another security is issued at a discount and matures at full value. So the difference, like if you called the original issue discount, would be like a taxable income to the recipient. So if you want to think of it in our I'll simplify this. So if you're thinking of sovereignty in your creditor status, this discount is interpreted as value taken from the creditor, which is you, by the way, and you turned it into profit for the corporation and bank. So you file basically a 1099 OID in your name as the recipient with the IRS form 1096, which goes along with the 1099 OID. It's kind of like a cover sheet, and it claims back the amount that was taken from you via contracts or financial transactions. So this form is when paired with affidavits of truth, W-9s, a declaration of your status, becomes basically a reclamation tool for prepaid value. So in my consultations, which I've had many, people who use the OID are basically like, oh, Michael, I paid $200,000 for my mortgage. How do I get that $200,000 back and replace it? Well, there's got to be a replacement. You got to take from the bond basically to pay back off the debt. And then now that you paid it with real money, now you can get reimbursed the money that you paid into it, right? And I've seen it. I've seen people have successes. I'm not here to say that it's not successful. And I would even say, all right, show me what exactly that you did to go ahead and accomplish that. I'll tell you exactly what they did. What they did is they had an abhorrently long administrative process. Over 180 some odd pages, maybe 230 documents, right? It was so many administrative processes. The back and forth arguing with these bankers, with these agencies and all of that was so difficult. Eventually, they hit it at a stalemate. And the stalemate and put them into a certificate of default that they had to pay it out. So what do? They get the reimbursement of the 150 to 200,000 that they paid into the house, and now they're super happy. And now they're like, "This was so great. Now I'm going to try it again." And then when they go to try it again, they are met with the same amount of aggressive back and forth with these entities that they eventually just said, this is not worth it. I mean, it's so much of an administrative process because they just don't listen to you. They don't. And I was like, well, who wants to do that? Who wants to do that? And they would just be like, oh, well, not me anymore. And then it was done. And then I just said, and then I hear the other side of the coin. I make fun of it, but I'm being absolutely serious. Oh, Michael, I need help. I need to recoup or discharge this. And I'm like, okay, what can I help you with? I tried to borrow from myself and it didn't work. So many people. Some of you know what I'm talking about. Other people may not know. I'm talking about another organization that spews that out left and right. Oh, just borrow from yourself. And you know what the frustrating part is, you know, have you ever seen, I don't know if I know this has happened for me, but not from a lot of individuals. Have you ever seen an individual get a tax return, like get a check from the Treasury Department? Have you ever met someone who's gotten a check from the Treasury Department? I think you have. There's tons of people who get these Treasury checks from paying too much, or they get a reimbursement back or something like that. And, you know, when gurus want to point out their legitimacy, what do? They say, I got a $30,000 Treasury check right here, bro. And what do? They say, it was because of my 1099. It was because I borrowed from myself. It's because I did this. I did this thing that you got to buy my course in order to figure out. You got to figure out. And then you're just sitting there like, oh my God. Months and months of studying later, and many letters to the IRS later, and all those friends and family members that you told me, it's going to come in. I'm going to get my check. It doesn't happen. Doesn't happen. And oftentimes it's not because you did anything wrong. It's just a hard battle. That's why we need to keep it simple. What, Paul Michael, can I do to discharge my stuff and get myself back on my feet in a short period of time? What can I do? There's a lot. There's only really one thing you can do. It's really only one thing you can do. You need to be private. You need to be private. You need to know the basics. You need to know what it means to go into the private. This is why we have Masterclass membership. Everything you need to go private, all in one place. And with everybody's Masterclass membership, I give you the basics of Sovereignty 101. The advantage of Sovereignty 101 is I give you the precursor. It's like the setup for why become private and operate private and accessing your unlimited credit is so important. I show the overlay to it. And also, I go ahead and I demystify the myths about the movement. I'm here to come in here in this movement to be your friend. I really am. And the best way that I can be your friend is tell you, dude, I'm in your position. And I went ahead and started a YouTube channel, and it blew up. It absolutely blew up. And it gave me one advantage that you don't have. Only one. The ability to talk to thousands of people in their given situation and see the many different processes that they tried and what did and did not work. The entire academy is only based upon the processes that work. And once I started to get all the noise out, I stopped reading 100 different books. I read a lot. And I started to really sit back and saying, what actually works and what's going to work on the regular? I got to tell you, dealing with credit cards, business trust, doing your SPC, your status correction, getting rewards points on your credit cards, learning the basics of this movement is all you need to know. You don't need any more than that. And I get further confirmation that I'm right because a lot of other organizations try to talk about the same subjects, but then they get lost because they're trying to do too many processes. They just don't stick with one that's consistent. Oh, Ryan Garrido, thank you for being here today. Wow, it's a heavy subject we're talking about today, and a lot of people are looking for, remedy and a lot of desperate situations. Man, it's a lot. You've had the unique opportunity to also be in as many consultations as I have. Can you kind of tell me about your experience and how can people get the relief that they're searching for?
Well, the first thing, hi Keith, the first thing is stop messing with those people that are trying to get stuff from the Treasury. That's my first part. Dude, you're preaching to the choir. I can't tell you how many times. Okay, so I do, anywhere between 4 to 10 up to 20 consoles per week. I think Paul Michael froze. I'll talk about what I want to talk about. So I do like 4 to 10 plus consoles per week, right? And I hear the same thing over and over and over again. yeah, I tried this process. I tried to do this discharge process, a special endorsement. I tried to get my bills paid through the treasury. I was doing this thing or that thing. And then now my credit report is jacked up. I mean, I hear it so frequently. It's insane. Welcome back.
Yeah.
Right. So I was talking about the treasury. I was talking about the treasury.
Yeah,
that people, I mean, I hear it all the time.
Yeah, I know. And, you're not even, same like me, you're not like from the movement. Me and you, we come from a very corporate background, really dominating the corporate world. That's what we really did really well for ourselves. And coming into this movement with our perspective, it's very different. It's very unique, but I agree with you. I think that trying to argue with these entities and going back and forth and not keeping it simple is what's holding a lot of people back from the freedom. But tell me, how does what you teach in your class help people get out of their credit issues or financial issues and see this remedy that people are searching for?
Oh yeah. So there's two main things, right? So just from a high level perspective, you have your personal credit, which is what we talked about briefly, right? Your personal credit score. So I can move my camera here. So personal credit score is going to be the three main bureaus, right? Your Experian, your Equifax, and your TransUnion. That's going to be your first three that you use. That's your first three, right? A lot of people know about that. It's pretty standard. People say, "Oh, I want to get credit," and a lot of people, what they do is they take out cards when they're 18, 20, 25 years old. They don't pay them back, and then their whole 30s they live off cash, because they don't have any more credit to utilize, and their credit score is jacked up. Like, well, and then maybe one day they buy a home, and in their 30s and 40s, they finally fix their credit, and then they're 50, and they go, oh, I can get a credit card, and they start getting the credit game when they're 50. It happens a lot, right? So that's personal credit. There's ways to fix your personal credit. That's number one. Number two, what you're talking about in the class is the trade lines. So the trade lines class, we call it the senior year. That's what we talk about, is establishing your business credit. So I want to draw a fine line in the sand. We're talking about credit, right? We have your first three, which are personal. Most people know about that. On the business side, we have business credit with three different bureaus, three different credit scores, all on your business. Now, someone might say, well, do I have to have a business, right? Do I have to be doing revenue? And no, you could be pre-revenue. Right? Specifically to get business credit cards, you don't actually have to be conducting a business. What we teach in the senior year is to be able to establish your business, your forward-facing entity, making sure you're listed ubiquitously across the internet in all the different directories, and you have what's called a thick file, right? So a thick file is meaning that you actually have a great credit history. So when you go to the lenders, when you go to the underwriters, when you go to the banks, you say, hey, I want this much money. They go, oh yeah, you're everywhere. Your business is everywhere. It's well categorized. You have trade lines reporting. You have a thick file, and they're going to loan you that money at 0% APR under business credit cards. So the highlight is 100,000 to 250,000 in 0% APR business credit cards within 60 to 90 days. So that's the main goal, and that's the main thing we learn on Wednesdays and Fridays in the trade lines class. And if you're not in there, get in there, because that's where you want to be. Not sending stuff to the treasury. It's replicable, right? Replicable. So every person can do it and get the same result. Not like, oh, one guy kind of it worked for them 10 years ago. Do you know what I'm saying? It's a whole different thing. So yeah.
Anyway. And it's amazing. I really do love it. But so the whole movement is about people wanting to know how to utilize credit, and you got to just know what the basics are. And I think you not only cover that really well, but you get people into the right headspace about what credit really is and how it doesn't negatively have to affect you for the rest of your life, that you can actually, as the living human being, be in control of your credit accounts. And is there a limit to it? I don't think I've ever heard you told me a limit. Is there a limit?
It's a limit by your actions. right? So if you want more, you can get more, but you have to build out your profile, right? And people don't like to hear this part, but you got to pay your bills on time.
Gotta pay your bills.
Oh, shocker. You got to pay your bills on time. Oh my God. I can't just do a special endorsement. And
I know.
Oh my God. I have to actually pay. But guess what? It's 0% APR. So approximately for every $5,000, it's around 60 to 70 bucks a month, typically.
Yeah. To me, it's pay is, I mean, it's when I hear the word pay, I have a different, and this is just my input on it. Is my thing is pay to me is where I touch things in my piggy bank that I've been saving in my investments accounts. But what we're talking about here, I don't see it as pay because it's money that's not mine that I'm using to invest in something that other people pay with their money in their piggy bank because they enjoy the service. And I get to use money that's not mine to build it up. And then I get to go ahead and profit from the other people that enjoy it.
Yeah. Or take the money out, liquidate it into cash, and use the money you borrowed to pay back the debt as well. I mean, there's 1,000 ways to skin the cat here.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So, yeah.
No, I absolutely agree. For all those that are watching us on YouTube, you don't have to be stuck in this matrix. You don't have to be talking with your family members about an esoteric idea. Everybody needs the foundational understanding of not only about their sovereignty, but also to access credit. You need to know about the credit game. And once you realize about how you can defend your sovereign position in the United States, the most powerful place to be sovereign, the most sovereign nation, and realize how that sovereign position benefits you with what Ryan's talking about with your credit, you can live the life that you've always dreamed of and without limitations. You don't have to live a life of poverty and just get by. But not only that, if you're in a struggling situation right now where you're just like, Paul Michael, I'm one of those people where I feel like my head is still just above water, or I am drowning right now, and I want to get some fresh air. Let's start with getting you remedy now. You can go to creditoracademy.com. Ryan's an amazing guy, does credit restoration for people that are totally in a big struggling situation. And we like to start with remedy at Creditor Academy. Ryan, do you want to touch on that?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm just going to really just parrot what you just said there. If someone is in a position where they're struggling or let's just say you only have enough money to pay your bills, right? Or you're working a 9-to-5 job or a part-time job or a 7-Eleven job, or you're doing Uber and DoorDash, or you're doing walks. What's that WAG app? You're walking dogs for a living. Whatever you're doing, you can take back control of your time by using credit, right? So if you have late payments, derogatories, charge-off, collections, bankruptcies, negative items on your credit report, you can utilize the law as it stands under the FCRA, the Fair Credit Reporting Act, in order to actually get whatever you want removed from your credit report. You are in control over your credit report. There's the law as it's written, and then there's the current reality of how things operate, and they're almost completely different. What we do in our consults is where I'm able to go over the report with you, identify derogatory accounts, give you the exact process to get items removed, and actually provide those templates and documents to you after the call. It's a full service stop. We do everything within 1 hour. And people have gotten extreme remedies. I mean, one day we'll do like a full testimonial class and just go over all the different. I mean, at this point, it's kind of crazy.
It's kind of crazy. It's got to be over $1 million, somewhere around there.
If not $1 million, it's close. I mean, it's hundreds of thousands for sure, without a doubt. It's a significant amount of money.
Absolutely. We want to get you out of the position of drowning or keeping you out your head above water and get you back on to land. We want you to get onto the beach to enjoy the ocean that you were just drowning in rather than suffering from it. I hope that you enjoyed what we talked about today. If you want to get involved with Creditor Academy, go to www.creditoracademy.com or hit the link that is in our bio here on our YouTube channel to sign up for our masterclass and get to included with your masterclass membership, Sovereignty 101, and also the opportunity to learn more about Ryan's class, about unlimited credit, and also to book a consultation so we can get you that breathing room. If there's one thing I could suggest to anybody, the best investment that you can make with your credit is in yourself. Get back your time, get back your freedom, and do it with us at Creditor Academy, and you won't be disappointed. We have a very professional team. We have just about 40 full-time staff here at Creditor Academy. Very impressive bunch. And so we're all working hard to make a new life for you. And
last thing. I just want to say, don't delay.
Don't delay.
How often we say, oh, that's a cool idea. Let me wait 6 months and struggle for 6 months to take action. Take action immediately, because it takes 30, 60 days to get these things removed. Yeah. Right. So take action as soon as humanly possible. Just want to put that little bow on there at the end.
No, it was a very important one. You're right. Do not delay. Don't take any more. And then when you go to your family members, you'll be like, aha, I show you, man. Oh, they're already doing that. Actually, the people that you helped, man, they took the before screenshots and the after. Like, I told you. Oh man, nothing better to show that it works. I know that I like doing it. I'll rub anything in my brother's face. Oh, man, he's like, damn it. All right. Well, everybody, thank you for joining us here at Creditor Academy. Look forward to seeing you all in our future classes and a master class. And also for next Tuesday during our live YouTube. If you have not subscribed or hit the notification bell, now is the time to do it. Until next time, everybody, take care of yourselves and your loved ones. Bye, everybody. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye, YouTube. Bye-bye. All right, it's the after hours.